Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to MomPower. We are here today to try to empower moms by just demystifying a lot of things, including overcoming overwhelm. What is overwhelm? What does it look like? How are you getting overwhelmed? And then how do we handle that to move our lives forward, which is really such a topic for moms. And I'd like to welcome Stan here this morning as my co-host. We're super excited to chat about this subject. So welcome, Stan. Good to have you this morning.
Good morning. And yeah, thank you. And this is such a topic that really gets brushed away
Yeah,
because we don't want to address it.
that's right.
And because we think that we're supposed to be, hey, I went through school, I got my degree, or I got married, I'm an adult, and I watched my mom or I watched my parents navigate. How come, when I view other people,
Yeah.
I see myself as not being able to keep up? And what is the deal? What's wrong with me? Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good. And I got to start right there because I got to tell you. So last time on our show together, Stan, we talked about the Yucca app, right? So,
Yes.
talk about overwhelm. I actually went to my refrigerator and to my cupboards and I started scanning my objects to see how good the food was I was eating, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't go so well. I was like, oh my gosh, I am eating terrible. Like, there are only two things in my whole refrigerator I should have been eating.
Right.
And I started in the pantry and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go to the grocery store before I finish this. But I remembered your advice in the back of my head, which is one thing I want to talk about with overwhelm. Your advice to me was, okay, just finish what you have and then buy new, better things. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm going to finish what I have and then I'm going to buy new, better things because that overwhelm for
Yeah.
me of just like, oh my gosh, I'm eating so poorly. I didn't realize. So now my husband and I are just like scanning everything. I got my friends scanning everything, sending me
That's
snapshots of,
awesome.
look, I found a food that's like 84 out of 100.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome.
It's so funny. But talk about just that one area of overwhelm. It's
Okay.
easy to get overwhelmed by the things that I should be doing that I'm not doing, right?
Right. And what I want to do is reframe that word should
Yeah.
to could. What
Could.
could I be doing? Because when I use the word should, it's a judgment. When I use the word could, it's a possibility. And so what I want to do is that, what this is what I tell people. You don't know what you don't know. And once you discover what you didn't know, you ask yourself, how come nobody told me this before?
Yeah. Right.
And we have to look at our source and we have to put it in a perspective of what is the source's desired outcome.
Yeah.
So the food industry, their desired outcome is for you to buy their product, to create it to where it is addictive, it
Yeah.
is not healthy. They work with the pharmaceutical companies, so they want to keep you sick. All right. They want to stuff you with sugar. They want to overload your brain. And this is where the overwhelm can come in, is when you get exposure to something that you didn't know that you didn't know. And
Yeah.
you get this app and you go through and you go, do you know how much money we spent on poisoning ourselves?
It was crazy. I couldn't
And
believe
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah. It was such an eye-opening experience, but again, it puts you into this state of, "Oh my gosh, now I don't know what to do and I need to change myself entirely." So, it's very interesting, but I learned so many foods that are actually pure good for me. So, I'm continuing to build those. So, it's just reframing my
right,
lifestyle, but again, a lot of it was just knowledge of what do I do next, and
right.
let's talk about that today. So, I want to show you my list. So
Okay.
I'm a big list girl, right? And that kind of puts people into overwhelm a lot of times. Here's on my list today. Okay, we have clothes to be washed, dishes to be done, floors to be mopped, bathrooms to be wiped down. I have to work today, right? I have a job. I got to exercise. I got to prepare meals. Tonight I'm playing cards, so I have to take the dessert. I'm making mulberry jam because last night I went out and I shook the trees with my husband. We shook the trees. We got a bunch of mulberries. So now today I've got to make jam. So all this stuff to do in one day. How do I get this done? This is a daily overwhelm for a lot of folks. I have to say, moms probably have this list at least, plus twice that. So, how do we manage our lives to help us take this one step at a time?
Well, you made a very profound statement that goes under the radar, and I would challenge you to go back and listen to how you just presented that. In the very beginning, you said, "This is what I have to do."
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't mention anything about who you wanted to be.
Yeah.
It is, and this is what happens is that we create these lists, and
Yeah.
they're do lists. You know,
Yes.
do. And if you add a bunch of do up, it's like shitting all over yourself. It, it's not really pleasing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, what if we change that to who am I going to be by playing cards?
Yeah.
I'm going to be fun. I'm going to be energetic. I'm going to be contributing. Who
Right.
am I going to be by making jam? I'm going to be creative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when we reframe that
Yeah.
word
Yeah.
and reframe our instead of it being a task list
Yeah.
to be an opportunity builder, and the reason that I use those words is because we all associate words with an expression or an emotion or a feeling.
Yeah.
Um, and if you think about a time when you were baking cookies, immediately when I mention that word, there's 50 different images that come to your mind.
Yeah.
And maybe just one of them was with your mom or your grandmother or your aunt when you were making cookies for the first time, and go back to that experience. And now we can change that being to do to an experience, a
Yeah.
be. Who
Yeah.
was I being in that moment? I was being creative. I was
Yeah.
being impressionable.
Yeah.
And these are simple steps. They're not easy.
No, they're not easy. But I do like what you're saying there because, if I look at this list,
Mhm.
I've got to work hard to get this list done today, which work is good. In the beginning, God gave Adam work.
Right.
We skip over that a lot of times. We are here to work and to, like you say, be creative, be engaged with our families, be whatever that takes. Well, that takes work a lot of times to get that done. But if I don't complete this list today, then how do I feel at the end of the day? And I
Okay.
think that's what we want to go to is I've set this up for myself this morning. And I want to talk about the Eisenhower matrix first, but let's talk about first just the feeling that I've set myself up for if I don't complete this.
So the thing that I would always suggest to my clients is that what was your experience after you accomplished one of the things that you had on your list? Was it a check mark and move to the next one, or was it a celebration?
Yeah.
And my clients will tell you, they'll send me messages that, hey, I celebrate. Yes, I celebrated because I know what you were going to ask. Did I celebrate when I got that done, when I accomplished that?
Yeah.
And this is what can make those task lists a game. We can gamify it.
Yeah. Good.
Who doesn't love going to the carnival or the town fair and throwing a ball and winning a stupid little stuffed animal so we can bring it home so we can throw it away later,
Right, right,
or a goldfish, right?
right.
But the idea is, let's say you throw the ball into the little fish bowl, but they didn't give you a fish. They just said, well, That was good.
Yeah.
Now move on. And this is what we do to ourselves.
Right.
We
Right.
don't take the prize of the celebration of accomplishing things.
Yeah.
Really do a happy dance. I'm serious. Get up and do a happy dance when you've achieved something, because it anchors in your body an excitement. Imagine if your husband comes home.
Yep.
For those that are married, your husband comes home and he gives you a kiss and you say, "I love you," and he says, "Yeah, I like you too." Uh,
Okay.
he's either not going to have dinner or he's going to be getting a hotel,
Right.
right? And this is what we're doing to ourselves, though.
Yeah.
We accomplish something, and
Yeah.
your
True.
body is waiting. Okay,
Yeah.
you did it. You did it. You did it. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate at the end.
Yeah.
And when we do this to ourselves, we also display that to our children and to our environment, and we're living in a theory rather than in an application.
Yeah.
And it's a baby step. Challenge it now that you know that you know.
Yeah.
Um, and there was something that I wanted to bring up. We've heard about absenteeism,
Yeah.
but there's also an experience called presenteeism,
Hmm.
where we're absent even though we're present,
Yeah.
and it's not celebrating that.
Yeah. So true. That's so true. And many people walk through their lives like that, which leads to discouragement, depression. So absolutely. That's a huge key right there. But I also want to talk about the Eisenhower matrix. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I have found, when I was younger, I did take Stephen Covey, and
Mhm.
one of his things set up in the same type of square matrix, but he had four categories. Number one, it's a fire emergency. Like,
Right.
it's on fire. You better do this first. So there are those things. If the baby's screaming, the baby obviously has to eat first. Right. And then there's some things that you can schedule. Okay, I need to get a haircut. So I can schedule that, like, identify. And then there's some things that just can be delegated. Maybe you've got kids who are able to help you out. Well, maybe they need to be unloading the dishwasher and loading the dishwasher. There are a lot of moms who don't allow their kids to do the work. But your kids should be doing the work. Again, it's a good training process. When they get 18, they need to know how to wash their own clothes, do their own dishes. They do go off and they have to do these things. So it's good for them to learn to do these things. And then there's some things I had to learn this one. Some things you just don't do. Like, I got to the point where sometimes I just couldn't get it done. And so I didn't do it. And guess what? The world didn't stop. The sky didn't fall down. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really didn't have to do that after all.
Yeah. Yeah. I say that there are things on our list that are there that may never get done.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably okay, right? Because
It is
we're
okay.
putting that on ourselves. So again, we're thinking about, what are all of the things I'm putting on myself today that I don't necessarily need to do? But I want to talk about that mind shift again. Talk to us one more time. How do I shift my mind to think differently to accomplish these things? Tell me that one more time.
Well, and I don't. I'll probably paraphrase it because I'll have to go back and watch this myself. But it is the identity of who do I want to be, and how am I allowing an activity to define me?
Yeah.
Um, the idea of accomplishing. You've got a list of chores to do, but
Yeah.
where did you fit in you
Yeah.
in
Right.
between those?
Yeah.
Even if it's 5 minutes to just breathe, just to relax, just to enjoy. Have a favorite cup of tea or a favorite beverage,
Yeah.
a favorite book that can give you a little bit of downtime, inspiration,
Yeah.
5, 10 minutes. If you
Yeah.
don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life.
Right. Right.
That's what I say. I tell people, when they say I don't have 10 minutes in the day, I say, well, you probably ought to trade in what you have because you don't have a life. You know, you've got 24 hours in a day. How much of it are you giving yourself? And
Yeah.
we go to bed exhausted, we wake up exhausted.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
go to bed restful, we wake up rested and we wake up with a different kind of energy.
Yeah, for sure. And really, I love what you said about do the happy dance. Like just having a shift of positive. You know what? I may not get all this done today, but I'm going to keep a good attitude in spite of all of that. Like I'm going to focus on the positive. I'm going to focus on what I can get done and do well and stay happy in the midst of it. Cause sometimes these lists that we put on ourselves can make us angry or upset.
Oh yeah.
Or life is unfair and I'm treated terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like you begin this conversation in your mind, like, it's just a lot of self mutilation in a sense of yourself because you're not able to accomplish. Well, guess what? You probably didn't have to do that to begin with. You're setting those expectations unfairly on yourself. So, yeah, we have a lot to do every day, but framing that appropriately is half of the battle.
Yeah, overwhelm is over judgment on ourselves
Yeah.
because we have an expectation. We didn't come into this world with a manual, and even if we would have come in with a manual, it was written by somebody who probably hadn't lived, and it was a lot of theory.
Yeah.
And the different situations and occurrences that happen throughout the day, if we don't leave room for an unexpected,
Yes.
that's where overwhelm comes in. Because let's say you have a very disciplined regimen, not a
Yep.
life, a regimen, and you have a certain amount of task time for each one of those.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about your day, but my day, I am by myself and I still get a disruption.
Yeah.
And I get an interruption or I get a distraction.
Yeah.
Okay? That's my ADD that comes in, like, oh, there's a bird. Um, you know, and it takes us off course.
Yeah, so true.
And if we concentrate on the being off course, it's
Yeah,
much more difficult to get back on course and go, you know what? Tomorrow's a better day. If we say things like that, then our brain registers that
yeah,
and then it uses that as a vice, as an excuse, as an out that
yeah,
tomorrow will be a better day. Well, why not make today a better day?
yeah, yeah,
How could I make today a better day?
yeah, yeah. That is good. That's really, really good. And I wrote down a couple quotes that my dad always said because during the chaos, like a lot of raising kids and I was always working, plus I was going to school. So I always had a lot going on. And so but my dad would always say when I would get in that place of I get too much going on, he would always say, like, it's one day at a time. Like just take it easy, relax. It's one day at a time. Just do today. Do today well, you know.
Yeah.
And then my mom would always say, she would always say, this too will pass. And I thought she was so wrong because when you have like small children and you are just doing your thing, you're like, this is never going to pass. This is going to be the rest of my life. But it does pass. Like every season changes for us. And she was trying to say, like, enjoy the season that you're in. Like,
Yeah.
love this season that you're in. And I'm in a totally different season now, but and I'm super busy now, but let's love the season that we are in.
Yeah, and it's also appreciating that season, and seasons don't run like the seasons of the weather.
That's right.
And we can go through a long stretch period where we may be in a season of winter
Yeah.
and spring does not follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we go from a winter to a fall. And it's not that we missed spring and summer, but fall is that season of letting go.
Yeah.
it is a season if we allow it to be a very colorful season.
Yeah. It,
And it is letting go of the things that no longer serve us.
yeah.
And once we do that, once we allow that process to take place, we could actually go from fall into spring.
Yeah.
And spring is that time of planting, but we always have the opportunity to release and let things go. And like you had mentioned, the matrix.
Yeah.
Um, I remember when my kids were young, and it was like, okay, is the house on fire? No.
Right.
Okay, then it's not that urgent.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do the kids need to be fed? Yes, that's important.
Yes.
But are they starving? No. So it's the house isn't on fire. They're not starving.
Right.
Nobody's bleeding.
Right.
So
Right.
just take a chill.
Right. Everybody relax.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're all going to make it through this. We're all
Yeah.
going to get to the other side.
Yeah.
It does happen. And
Yeah.
that's a word of encouragement too for moms, dads. Like, your kids are going to grow up. They are going to be fine. They're
Yeah.
going to get jobs. They're going to, do the things they're supposed to do. Like, that does happen, regardless sometimes of what you do, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all good. So what does your day look like? What's your I know you have a lot going on too. You have a garden. We're both gardening. So it's a huge time for that. But like, how do you frame your days then?
Well, with the garden, that's a source of enjoyment.
Yeah.
And I really do. I focus on keeping the weeds out of it. I till it. I have a weed cutter and I cut the weeds, and I really take a pride in it. And as I'm planting it, I went out and looked at it last night. Had a friend that came by, and I said, there's a few of those plants. They were all the same size, but those aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
And it's just the pick of the draw. And this is what happens. Sometimes we'll plant something and it's not going to make it, and it's okay.
It's
There's
okay.
going to be an abundance. And
Yeah.
I think I have 5 different breeds of tomato plants.
Wow. That's
So,
awesome.
and I think I've got close to 30 plants out there. I'm
Yeah.
going to have a boatload of tomatoes. So anybody is needing tomatoes in the end of August.
I know.
Um,
A good one. But not only that, but you know what happened to me in my garden this year is I planted early, and I had a pill bug infestation.
oh
Like,
no.
I had planted a bunch of cucumbers and summer squash, and the pill bugs came and were just eating that up. And I had this huge infestation. And so I'm just relating that to sometimes there's things in your life that are going to try to eat away at you. And I literally had to work every single day of I use that, what's that, diatomaceous earth, of going out there and just like tending to it every day. And I was losing the battle on most days, I felt like, because these bugs just like seemed to multiply and I never could get them out. But one day I won that battle. So sometimes things may come in and you may say, this is eating up my life. This is just grinding at me to the point. But guess what? Just be consistent in those small things to rectify that problem, to really just continue to stand steadfast against that. And one day you will beat that and overcome that. So yeah, now I was able to replant and got those things taken care of, but it was a battle there for a while, and I wasn't sure
Yeah.
I was going to prosper in that particular place in the garden for a while.
It is. And through my schedule, as I schedule my day, I have a buffer where people cannot book a half an hour at minimum in between appointments.
Yeah.
And I have it set up that way because I have to have a decompression as
Yeah.
I'm working with clients and different clients, and even as when I'm working with mindset or when I'm working with posture. All of these things are their energy pullers.
Yeah.
And if I don't restore that, if I don't recharge my
Yeah.
mind or recharge my battery and
Yeah.
go outside and just smell some fresh air and just walk, get up out of this chair and move,
Yeah.
we've become so sedentary. And, moms are constantly doing things and they're standing in one position, either with laundry or cooking or
Yeah.
answering questions
Yeah.
or, solving fights. Um,
Right.
and being the ruler and the wisdom, it is giving yourself that time to break away
Yeah.
and recapture just even a moment. And if the kids are screaming and they're fighting but there's no blood,
Yeah.
walk outside, walk
Yeah.
outside and walk back in.
Yeah.
I would do this on occasion, is that if I came into a turmoil kind of situation and I came in the house and it was a little bit turmoil, I'd just turn around and walk back out, go out to the garage, and then I'd come back in and I go, "Hey, I'm home."
Hey, let's try that again. Round two.
Yeah, and it got to
Right.
be kind of like a joke. It was kind of like my fun. Hey, we're gonna try this again.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's a good one for sure. But absolutely, I read this book not too long ago. It was like The Habits of Millionaires. And one of those was walking daily. And that walking daily really does something to your brain. That being in, I know, and not just nature, but just walking, the
yes,
movement, the reset on your brain really does make a difference. It'll generate ideas, it'll reset you, it'll reframe you. So,
yeah,
so important. It's so like I had to train myself because I sit in a chair. I can sit in a chair all day long for work, right? I'm comfortable with that. But I had to make myself like I just set my timer and say, no, I'm going to get up 5 minutes and go walk and go outside,
yeah.
5 minutes, an hour, whatever. So that is so vital movement.
It is, and it is so vital. And this is one of the things that I really specialize in, is postural um,
Yeah.
functioning and the activity of our body. When we're sitting in a bent position, we're crimping off our lymphatic system, we're crimping off our blood supply, we're
Yeah.
we're changing our breathing, we're changing everything, the way that our body was designed to be. And you know it is taking that opportunity to restore your own capacity. Go for a 5-minute walk every
Yeah.
every hour, at least.
Yeah.
Minimum in an hour you got to have a 5-minute walk.
Absolutely. For sure. Yeah.
it'll
So
change your it'll change your life.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, great conversation today. I hope that you have learned some things today. Just to recap, we talked about framing your day in your mind, not judging yourself, not a judgment on who we are when we get into this list of, I can't do this because. But seek it as opportunity. I get to do this today, to be with my family, to be a contributing member of my family. So reframing that. What else, Stan? What's our other final thoughts as we
I want to say, there's two options for control. You either let it control you or you control it.
yeah,
I
good.
would rather control it. I would rather not have the diagnosis given to me one day that says your body has been stressed out for so long that
Yes.
you have these illnesses.
Yep.
Now you've got a big, oh, what now?
Yes.
And this is one of those apps. This is a wake up call
Yep.
to take and scan your life and go, scan this list.
Yep.
Is this good for me? If it's not, can I put it off? Can I throw it away?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if I can't put it off and if I can't throw it away, who could I give it else to?
Yeah. That's good.
Your husband, your kids. Those are the takeaways. And I just want to encourage anyone who's listening to this, and moms especially, you didn't come in this world with a owner's manual and a directory of everything that you were going to do and everyone that you could call on at a moment's notice. Be nice to yourself,
Yeah.
celebrate when you accomplish something,
Yep.
and watch what a difference it makes over the next week.
That's
And then
right.
we won't be here next week because I'm going to be gone.
Yeah, that's right. We won't be here next week, but we'll join you after that.
Okay,
And, this actually could tie into another segment. I have a huge testimony on how stress can cause disease in your body. So let's continue this conversation. So just wise words of advice is, yes, de-stress because it will cause disease in your body. And so being able to take a step back and relook at that. So let's talk about that next time and maybe what those functions are and how we can do things a little bit differently. So I've had to change my lifestyle to do that. So would love to have that conversation the next time as well.
outstanding.
Yeah, but thank you for joining us today for Mom Power. Woo! We are able to be strong and mighty and to accomplish great things. So go celebrate yourself today and all that you're doing and the wonderful gifts that you are giving your children today. All right, join us again if you like this, subscribe, follow, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. All right, take care.
Fantastic.